Hey everyone, my name is Tabitha Keene, and I teach fourth grade ELA and social studies at Bevins Elementary. Over the summer, I had this amazing opportunity to be a part of the Modern Classrooms project, and I'm going to talk a little bit about what I did for my project and how this being a part of this program has affected me personally and how I plan to implement it into my classroom. So, what is the Modern Classrooms project? Okay. So, Modern Classroom is made up of five submissions. Okay. There are five things that you have to do as an overall for your project. Okay, so along the way, they give you step by step instructions. So you have videos, you have templates, you even have examples that they show you. They have you have to watch videos that gives you step by step. This is what you do first. This is what you should do. Basically, the whole project was about blended learning. Okay, and so I know we just came off of a year of virtual, and so really this program was like amazing because it gave you I mean, you already had an inside look about what virtual was like. And so this project helped me to get a better understanding and helped me to be more organized. And it really helped me learn how to track my students at their level. And so basically, blended, as when I say blended learning, you're going to have students that are ready to move on maybe to the next learning target and students that are not ready. Then you're going to have students that are starting to get it, but not quite got it. So basically, you have students at all different levels. Well, this project helps you reach each student at their level. You can work with each student at their pace. And so, like, they don't feel rushed, they don't feel pressured, they don't feel um, nervous about not getting it when they can work on their own level, they can work at their own pace. So, I really thought that that was amazing. And that was probably one of my favorite takeaways from it. It was being able to reach each student. So you're also provided with a mentor, and they are always available to you. You can ask them questions. They provide you support. They actually make you a feedback journal. And so every submission that you do, they provide you feedback. And so if you are maybe struggling with a certain part of the submission, you can email them for questions. And my mentor was absolutely amazing. She, if you need help with anything, maybe if you need an extension, any type of problem that you had, they were available anytime. And mine was, like I said, phenomenal. So, my learning objective that I did for my project was focused more on reading since I'm ELA. So, I said my learning target was to I'm learning how to identify the plot of a story by using specific details from the text. So basically, I want my students to be able to look at a story and tell me the events of the story, tell me what's happening and the order that they're happening in. Okay, the plot of the story. And so here's my standard RL 4.3. So that's a pretty big standard because it talks about characters, settings, and characters' thoughts and motivations. So, what I typically do is break this standard into several different units. So, this unit specifically is going to be just about plot. Okay, so for submission one, you have four things that you have to include in this submission. Okay, and this is what they call a mastery check. And so basically, that is just seeing, do they get it? That's basically what it is. So, you know how we do bell ringers and exit tickets and things like that? It's similar to that. You just need to know if your students are getting it. Okay. And that's basically what a mastery check is. So I broke it down and I walked and I showed examples of each one of my submissions that I had. So for my practice, okay. And I love the Bitmoji things. I think those are, my kids love them. I think it kind of adds an extra flair to things. So for my first one, I had a interactive notebook foldable. Okay, so if you could see, move my face out the way, you can see that it breaks down each part of the plot diagram. So you've got 5 parts of Plot Mountain, okay? And so the students are going to glue this into their notebook, and as we go along, they're going to fill this out. So next, I provided the students with what we call guided notes. So this is basically everything that is in my video my instructional video and my PowerPoint for them, but I just put it in a summary. So as you can see, we have our quick review here. I've got my learning target, I've got my vocabulary, and I've got the final example of the Plot Mountain. So this is something that the students are going to have all throughout the lesson. So they can always refer back to these guided notes. And next, this is my introduction slideshow. So what I did, instead of making like several different slides and walking you through each one, I screenshot them, put them on here so you could see them. First, I started with a road trip. So I say we're going to go on a road trip and we're going to go to Plot Mountain. Okay. So before we get started, we need to do some quick review. Okay. And at this point, when I teach this lesson, we've already going to have talked about character and setting. Okay. So I'm going to do some review, like what are the two that we've learned so far? Okay, it's character and setting. And I'm going to say, and here's my examples of setting. Where are you at? Are you at the beach? Are you at school? Are you at home on a snow day? Where are you at? Where the story takes place. Next is my characters. Characters can be people, animals, fairy tale creatures, whatever. It's the people or the things that are in the story. Okay, so that's kind of like my kind of bell ringer pre-lesson questions. Okay, and so next is I get into the meat of my lesson. What is plot? Okay, and so I refer back to my learning target. We're going to identify by using details from the text. Okay, so I explain what a plot is, how it is the events of a story that makes up the story. I go into the 5 elements of them. There are 5 there. Then as I keep going, I stop for a minute and go over a vocabulary. So this is kind of where my guided notes come back in, to whether they can look at these, grab this vocabulary anytime that they need to make a quick reference back to it. Also, this will help with their foldable that they're going to be doing, like on day 2. We'll get to that as we move on to have a pacing guide. But so I do have those printed out for them as they can refer back to them. And then last, I give them example of an actual Plot Mountain. Okay, so this is what it looks like. This is where it starts, and I'm going up the mountain, and I'm at the top of the mountain, and then I'm going down. Okay, and then I'm at the final place on my mountain. All right, so I'll let them see in a visual of Plot Mountain. So next, I have a Plot Mountain video here. This is a YouTube video actually that I love. I use every year. It kind of gives them a little bit of a story about this dragon, and the kids usually really like it. And so it explains the steps of the Plot Mountain, okay, and how they're broken down. So this is all under my practice, okay? So it always says that. So, okay, so whole group practice questions. So I embed these into my slideshow as I go. And so there is 7 questions. So what is the first stop on Plot Mountain? They can refer back to their notes. They can refer back to the slideshow. Why does the plot start at a specific place on the mountain? Like why can't I start at the top of a mountain? Why can't I start at the middle? Why does it need to start at the beginning? Why is the beginning so important? So I throw in higher level questions, like give an example of a conflict in the story, explain to me why, describe in your own words what would happen. So here are my 7 practice questions that students can practice. And I want them to do these on their own. And then I go over them at the end of the video. So then I have, this is everything that's in my unit. So I know it's a lot at one time, but I just want you to see how I've planned my unit out. So next I have some practice for them to do. And it says plot test, but it's really just more like practice. I put an example in here for you. So it gives them to begin with matching. So what is the conflict? What is the climax? What is the resolution and the rising action? So they have to know those definitions. It's kind of like something you just have to know. Okay. So, and then it gives them short paragraph passages from a passage, and they need to answer questions. So, this is where being able to identify the plot in a text comes back into play. So you can see here there are 3 just very short passages, maybe a paragraph for them to practice on. I wanted to do this one first so that if they're answering questions, if it's like multiple choice, sometimes they can guess and get it right. So I wanted to do this as kind of like a primary. This is not going to be my mastery check. Okay. This is kind of like, okay, are we getting it? Are we getting there? So then my mastery check is going to be a blank plot diagram. So I want to know what can you create? What do you know? So I'm going to give them a short passage that they read, and they are going to take the events from that story and create their own plot mountain. So this way, every student's going to have different passages. So this way, I know that it's their work. It's not just a luck of the draw, so you say. So that's going to be my mastery check. How will I know that they've got it? Okay. So all that is, and here's an example. It shows you like the setting. I want to know the characters. I want to know, and as I go along, I'm going to break all this down. A lot of this we've talked about before the plot lesson, which was setting and characters. So they know those already, but this is just an example of what it would look like. So another part of this first submission is about opportunities for revision. Okay, so what do I do if they're just not getting it? Okay, if they just absolutely cannot do the mastery check, they just weren't ready. So if they fail to show mastery the first time, they're going to have an opportunity to rewatch the Plot Mountain video. Then I'm going to provide reading passages and blank plot mountain diagrams to encourage more practice. So I'm going to also provide alternative versions of the mastery check. So, we know as teachers that it's not a one way fits all type thing. So if there are some that just not getting it that way, I can provide an alternate version of the mastery check, which would be maybe flashcards or not multiple choice, but something along those lines. So if a student fails to show mastery the second time around, then I will ask the student to work with me personally, and I can pull them and I can work one-on-one and I can assign more practice. So really the mastery check is kind of lets me pinpoint where I need to be. So as the students are working on at their own pace, I can tell, okay, little Johnny's got it. He's ready for his next mastery check. Okay. They say, oh, okay, well, little Susie in the back, she's a little bit struggling. Let me see if I can give her more practice. So it helps me to pinpoint where they are and who I need to provide more intervention with. Oh, and here's some examples of maybe some practice sheets and alternative mastery checks. So you can see here, it's a blank one as well, beginning, middle, and end, but it gives them the words that they can put in there. So what happens when the problem is solved? Is that the beginning, the middle, or the end? Okay, so they have to know, but it also provides them a little extra support. And the next one, I like it a lot as well. You have to color. So you have to color the beginning ones, all the things that would be the middle, and then all the things that would be in. So I really like that one as well. Again, here's more practice. These are blank, but as you can tell, like on number 9, you can tell I have them pulled them out of order, but you can tell as number 9, it gives you the blank, it gives you the words that they need to put in there, but it's still blank. So they're still going to have to know, you're going to still be able to pull it out of them. Okay, so the last thing is students are going to take a reassessment on incorrect mastery checks. So before they can move forward, they cannot move on to the next lesson until they've mastered it. Okay, so if they keep getting the mastery check wrong, then we're going to keep practicing. We're going to keep practicing. You cannot move forward without mastering that concept. So they're going to have a new reading passage, like I said, and new blank plot diagrams, like the examples I showed you, to go over. Okay, so that was a lot for submission 1. So that was my first submission. So that basically pretty much sums up my lesson, though it shows you all the things that I would include. Next is my instructional video, and I did not include it into this because it was done through Edpuzzle, so it was hard to include into this PowerPoint, but it consisted of exactly what I just showed you. It was my introduction slideshow that I showed and the 7 practice questions. So what I did was I always use this free recording site called Screencast-O-Matic. Okay, it's amazing. You don't have to, it's free, which is the best part. And so it's free up to a certain point, but you can record and then you can download it and save it to your computer. And so I use it all the time. But what I did to take it a step further was I recorded my video and then I uploaded it to Edpuzzle. And if you're not familiar with Edpuzzle, I'm going to tell you, it is amazing. Okay, there's so much content already on there you can find. And what I love about it is the students are not just watching videos. We watch these YouTube videos and they're amazing, but they're just watching them. Well, Edpuzzle makes them really pay attention, and it stops the video and makes them answer questions. And so what I didn't know and I learned through this project was that you can make your own Edpuzzle videos, and just super cool. So what I did was I made my video of my slideshow, and then I uploaded it into Edpuzzle. And so when I did that, I was able to pause where I wanted to pause and insert interactive questions. So if I wanted to pause, like I said, right after my quick review, and have the students answer the question, what is setting? It would pause and the students would have to answer the question. Okay, and then at the end of once they finish the Edpuzzle, I would be able to see their score. So love Edpuzzle. Again, it is mostly free too, up to a certain point. I was able to get I'm not sure I was able to, but we used a free version of it last year. I guess maybe it was COVID year. They gave us a full access free, and it was amazing to it. So check Edpuzzle out if you haven't already checked it out. So my submission 3. Okay, so this is kind of like the third and almost last part of my lesson. It is a pacing guide. Okay, so I'll be completely honest, this is the part that I struggled with the most. Okay, so I can plan my lesson. I know how I'm going to do it. I know the order that I'm going to do it. But creating this pacing guide for the students just was like, mind-boggling to me. So luckily, there were so many amazing people that had these already made. Okay, and so what I was able to do was to go through and pick which one that I wanted to use. And so I liked the one that was like a game board. So I feel like my students could relate more to that. And they were more advanced ones on there. That was phenomenal. But I felt like this would match my students more. So as you can tell, it's kind of like a game board here. So my little Bitmoji, and it tells you have to start here. This is where you start. Okay, so you start with lesson 0. And it tells you everything you need to do in this lesson 0. You've got your guided notes. You've got your introduction slideshow. You've got your practice question. Okay. So then you move on to your instructional video, which is your Edpuzzle that I just told you about. And then last, before you complete any lesson, you have an exit ticket. Okay, and there's more that I plan to add into this, but this is kind of just like an overall thing to where you can see what it would look like. Okay, so this pacing guide will be displayed every day on the board. So students will know, okay, these are the 3 lessons that I have to complete, okay? And the last thing I have to do is my mastery check, of course. So the cool thing is each student is going to have their own copy in Google Drive. So at our school, we use Canvas. I'm not sure there's plenty of other platforms out there, but we use Canvas. So what I would do is I would upload the link into Canvas to where the students can make their own copy and would be in their drive. So every day they would get in there, get in their drive, because once you make a copy, it's in there, So and students from last year with COVID, they kind of learned how to navigate Google Drive pretty good. So they would get on every day and they would say, okay, so there is a check mark that they can add. I don't think it's on here, but there's a check mark that they drag. Okay. And so if they did all of lesson 0 yesterday, then all of lesson 0 has check marks. Okay. And they know, okay, I've done that. So today I'm going to work on lesson 1, which is my plot mountain video, my interactive notebook foldable, and my exit ticket. Okay. So students can work as fast as they need to or as slow as they need to. So you may have a student that can fly through 0 through 2 in one day and master it. Get every one of his exit tickets right, get every one of the ed puzzles, everything practiced perfect. Okay, then you may have a student that takes a little bit longer. So it may take him one full day just to get through the first lesson. And that's fine. This is the point of blended learning and being able to reach each student at their level. Okay, so here's kind of an example of what I use. And then over here on the side, it shows you important dates. So this is the date that you need to be done with lesson 0, lesson 3, and then by the total unit, this is when you need to be done. So of course there is a time limit. You can't spend all year on one unit. So of course you give them a time limit, whether it be a week, 3 weeks, whatever your students, how much time that they need. Okay, so that's basically my project and what I did. I have not got to implement it yet, but I am super excited and looking forward to doing it. I'll be completely honest. The Modern Classrooms project was just an amazing experience for me. It really just pushed me beyond my comfort zone. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm overwhelmed. But I learned so much, and being pushed out of my comfort zone forced me to learn some phenomenal things that I never even would have dreamed of doing. And so it gave me lots of tools and resources, and it gave me the confidence to be more comfortable about reaching all my students, because I'm sure that every teacher has felt at some point the frustration of not being able to reach all of your students. And so this kind of gave me a little bit more confidence in, okay, I can reach the one that is super high, but I can also reach the one that's super low too. So it really helped me with that. And I am super excited about implementing this in my classroom.